my first fall when I was up trapping with Tucker. He had to go off and set a line, and I was still on the road, and I had some telemetry equipment with me, and this truck rolled by, and it had some hunters in it, and their blaze orange, and they stopped and they asked me what I was doing, and I said, oh, I'm radio coloring some snowshoe hares, and they asked me if I could radio color some elk for them because they had a hard time finding them. I said I would if I could, but I can't. I go to Sealy Lake just about every weekend for at least a day. I spend a lot of time with Brandon Davis and Tucker Seitz. We have a good time up there. We get a lot of work done in some pretty tough conditions, but it's a lot of fun. We learn a lot, and we're getting to use a lot of the things that we have been taught in classes.
James, Brandon, and Tucker are really great representatives of the quality of undergraduates that we have here at the university, and really all over, students that are learning the craft of wildlife biology.
I'll take that. I'll do data.
Little cards in there, so.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and toss this on the trap.
Everybody likes to call hares bunnies. People like to call hares rabbits. And one big way that hares are different from rabbits is that hares are exposed to predators from day one. Rabbits, as we know from storybooks, rabbits live in warrens, rabbits live underground. Rabbits are born helpless, eyes closed, safe from predators. Mama takes care of them for quite a while. Hares, by contrast, are born right where mom drops them. No hare ever dies of old age. They typically will be dead within a year. The most consistent signal of climate change in temperate regions is a reduction in number of days with snow on the ground. What hares have evolved is a way of tracking their camouflage with the seasons by changing their coat color from brown to white when the snow comes.
It is possible when hares are mismatched, their mortality rates increase. So this is, critical to their survival. 85% of their mortalities is due to predation. If we get a really fast signal coming back to us, that means it's a mortality. So our goal is to go find that collar as soon as possible, and then get it back on hares as fast as we can, because we want to get as many hares, collared hares, in the field as possible.
So it's been about 14 years that I've been doing the snowshoe hare research. Studying population dynamics of hares gave me a really great appreciation for how many different ways hares can die. And that, of course, is quite important for forest management. So, for example, James's study.
I am kind of like a CSI investigator. I'm investigating the scene of some mortality event or hopefully some survival event that has happened in the past. And once I reach that site with a GPS, I take a canopy closure photo looking straight up through the forest canopy, and I use that photo to measure the percent closure that the forest has at that location. From that location, I measure 3 different subplots, and at those subplots, 5 meters from the plot center, I measure the horizontal cover. At those subplots, I also measure the ground species diversity. This is something that forest managers could use to maintain the persistence of snowshoe hare populations in a forest, even though they want to thin it or manage it in some way.
With this appreciation of how many ways hares can die, it really set me up for this question of, well, what happens when this white hare is on a brown background? So what happens when you have a species whose change from brown to white is triggered by day length? So day length shortens, but the snow perhaps doesn't come, or day length lengthens, but the snow is already gone. The big question here is, can hares adapt to climate change? There is a potential for adaptation both through evolution and through behavioral plasticity or behavioral changes. Brandon's project is looking at one of these components of behavioral plasticity.
The name of my project is Snowshoe Hare Behavioral Response to a Potential Predator. Our goal is to see if mismatched hares flee sooner than hares that are matched.
In the valley.
You put the antenna up and you get a signal back from the collar. It's like beep, beep, beep. That's an alive signal.
And Tucker is as good as anybody I've ever seen in using radio telemetry to find animals. He's got a really uncanny sense for that. Walking in with the dog on a leash so the hare's never actually in danger, and recording the distance at which the hare flees and the cover that the hare is hidden in relative to its camouflage.
I let my leash out to 24 feet. The dog went in, the hare came out. It was pretty neat. Best one we've had so far. We'll measure the flight initiation distance when the hare flees from the approaching predator. It was hiding in the juniper, and then the direction it fled.
Yeah, alerted by the dog?
Yeah. And we take a picture from the hare's perspective at the hare's eye level of that cutout to see the concealment seen from the hare's perspective. I tried to give as much lead as possible. I did. It worked. Sage, come here, girl. Well, they call us a red-headed dynamic duo because we do match. I mean, I've been up there almost every weekend this semester. She's been right there next to me.
You learn so much every day when you're out working with dedicated, passionate, competent students, and this enthusiasm that's always invigorating for me to see.
There we go, there's one.
How many do we have that are alive right now?
About 5.
About 5?
Mm-hmm.
You can't get too attached to something that only lives for a few months and then is killed by a predator. They're an amazing species, and obviously they're, if I may say so myself, they're photogenic and charismatic.